Hello, Yulia. How are you today?
Hi, Gloria. Great to see you.
What will we be talking about today?
I feel I'm inspired to talk about living from your heart, about the topic living from your heart.
Now, how does one go about living from the heart?
Life is an amazing teacher, so we always um, mirrored back where we are living from, and if our life is full of turmoil or any kind of negativity or just discontent, it's an indication that there is something more than we need to pay attention to.
Could you give an example of that, please?
Well, sometimes I mean, in if we take any area of our lives, either it's money or relationship or our health. All of those places are a good place to start looking how we feel in those areas. So, for instance, if your body is, regarding the health, if your body is getting sicker, you might want to look actually instead of the symptom of like, oh, I'm just, um, something is not right. You also want to look that it might also be associated with even unrelated issue like we're not coming from the real place inside of ourselves,
I
and
see.
so we're shutting down some parts of ourselves, and when we don't listen and being in touch with our essence and our core, like of our core authenticity of what is right for us, our body will also be demonstrating us. We are all sensory beings, and our head tells us one thing, but our body is this amazing um, system of sensitivity that tells us, are we on the right track or we're not on the right track.
So we must come from an authentic place. Is that what you're saying?
Authentic place of listening and integrating, not just our head. The head can say, well, you know, uh, I don't care about smells in this job, or we smell the fumes in our jobs. Like, let's say you are working in a toxic environment, like some kind of, it can be toxicity through people, co-workers, or it can be toxicity, just environmental toxicity. And we smell the smell like it's toxic environment, and we force ourselves to work there and ignoring all the indication of our body and sending us like, get out of here.
That's very interesting. So we're ignoring a toxic smell. How about ignoring a toxic relationship? Does it also apply to that?
Yes, and sometimes toxic relationship also can have many gradations, like it can be physical abuse. It's like the most obvious, but there can be toxic interactions, very subtle, where it's very hard to spot, but then eventually, the more we practice the listening and self-care and establishing that value system of connection with something greater than ourselves. And that is a very important piece, because the energy of the love field of love, the field of love is so much more greater than our own love for ourselves.
Oh, please explain that. That's not clear to me.
Yeah.
Which could be my density. You may have done a wonderful job. I just didn't get it.
No worries. Meaning, life intention for us is so much more loving and so much more compassionate and kind than we have for ourselves. And when we're in tune with something greater than ourselves and our own beliefs and our own ideas, what we should have, how we should live, what kind of relationship we should have, life communication is always present to us, meaning life's desire for us is so much greater than we can even have for ourselves. For example, like when I was just sitting at the beach, it was very clear message that, it's time to live the relationship. And it wasn't just to live it, but because I felt life's compassion for me. It was time to let go.
So it has to do with tuning into a larger picture. Is that kind
Yes,
of what
it's
you're
tuning
describing?
into being in communion with universe, life, love, however you call it. But we are all part of this larger field of love, and living from the heart encompasses and inclusive, not just of yourself, but it's inclusive of all aspects of life, including this communion with source or unified field, however you call it, but that unified field of love that we all interconnected. The patterns humans live very much from the patterns, but what is not changeable is that we are part of this unified field of love that is constantly growing. So when we tune into that, whatever you call larger picture, and tune into that unified consciousness of God's presence or source or whatever you call it, then we can be shown something different than our patterns of ancestry, of the repeating the same patterns from generation to generation, and we're just playing out like automatons, like robots, and living from the heart.
So living from the heart has to do with engaging with a larger picture. Well, I think that's wonderful advice. So once again, I thank you for your wisdom.